Hello, everyone, and welcome to Phoenix Gaming. We are jumping into a game of Leaders, which is like a two-player, kind of sort of like an abstract game, except for all you recruit these guys that all have different powers. So we are first here against our opponent. There's 3 cards that you're going to be able to draft from every time. The deck is the same, whatever, 12, 15, 20 characters. So I've played enough at this stage to know what's going on. My opponent maybe has not played enough to put up a real fight, but I want to show you this game. I think it's kind of interesting. It has some broken states, I think, and some characters that don't really feel fair. I'm going to run through 2 games, this one and then also one with the expert mode where you can see all the characters at the same time. But essentially on your turn, you move all your units and then you recruit a new unit. And once you have 5 units, you are done recruiting new units. My opponent's actually going to get to recruit 2 units because he's second. That's just kind of a thing for going second. I don't know it's necessarily an advantage. It's going to look like he's recruiting 3 units because the special guy that he got, the Hermit here, comes with the Cub, which is an extra unit. These guys just move like big dumb guys. And then he did draw into the Claw Launcher, which I think is one of the best units in the whole game. We've got this Jumping Frog here, which we can use its special ability, or you can move your units 1 space. So the frog can jump and then jump again like a checkers piece, and your leader is it's like your king in chess, has more restrictions there. We are gonna put the rider in play. The rider lets us move up to 2 spaces instead of 1 space as long as it's in a straight line. This is not coming up. There we go. So red means an active power that you can use instead of a normal move on your turn. Blue is like an ongoing power. So there's these are counter units. So like adjacent enemies can't use their red powers. Enemy abilities can't move people. These guys have no powers except for they must move. Essentially, they don't need to be touching each other, and the Cub actually can't capture. So the objective of this game is to capture your opponent's leader. You do this generally by putting 2 units next to their leader. And once you've done that, you are the victor. Hooray. You also can completely their leader is completely cornered. Then that actually also ends the game. So you need to suffocate that unit. And kind of like in chess, you can use your leader to box their leader a little bit, where like you can't ever move into a check situation. But do I want to go over here? No, I think this is good. We're happy to be there. And we'll charge up even though the jailer can come down and just jail us. And the Claw Launcher here, I mean, moving next to him is not really a threat right now. And so we're going to move more into the middle just to have some options for moving afterwards. I'm not loving our options here. Manipulator lets you basically like move an enemy piece, but his pieces are not terribly mobile. So I think I want to, and he can't move my pieces, so I don't want to protect her. So I'm going to take the Brewmaster instead. I find the Brewmaster to be on the weaker side. I almost never end up using his special powers. But he lets you, as his action, he can move an adjacent ally a space, which can lead to some cool stuff. You can kind of yeet guys into victory, but he's just so slow himself that I find it hard to get him into the mix. I've not found great uses for him yet. The Vizier allows your leader to now move 2 spaces on their move rather than 1 space, but he's kind of like these other guys, and then he's just sort of like a single unit himself. It's a really good counter to certain enemy units. Oh, interesting. Sure. That makes sense that the jailer would go there. All right. We're just going to shove this frog all the way back here. Our opponent's probably going to collapse into this corner over here. So that's fine for our Brewmaster. We're going to send him up this way. And we could send the rider up into this region, but then the jailer is going to be able to lock up our acrobat and our rider, which we don't really like. So I might actually have the rider pull back more towards my leader. I do need to be careful because he's got 2 guys here that are adjacent. I have to obviously move my leader at this stage. He is going to make his leader faster. So let's just go back here. We're going to move this guy up front. We're going to get this guy into play here. We're going to charge the rider around. And Royal Guard is actually one of my favorite units. I have not seen my opponents use it terribly much, but I really like it. So he is just a moving piece on himself, but he can also teleport to your leader and then move one additional space. I've had a lot of surprise victories on my opponents because they don't anticipate the teleport plus move one. So he can really get to a lot of the board very quickly. And I put him on the right side here because I'm going to have him trundle up the side, just kind of trying to squeeze the leader in a direction. In fact, actually, I think that this leader is probably a little bit smarter to go around my frog and hide on the left side of the board here. But we'll see what he actually ends up doing. There ends up being a lot of jockeying in this game. I think now that we have maximum units, we're just all kind of moving until essentially someone gets to a win state. And it's essentially, I think, near like possible. There are certain game states that are like possible to just sort of like essentially permanently lock up the game. And it kind of depends on like how many people you have on offense versus defense. But because he has a very slow lumbering group and he negates the movement of the guys in my group, we're going to have a game that's going to be sort of like a longer standoff type of style game. I can send my Royal Guard up this way. I could summon my Royal Guard and next to my guy and move it up to the left here, but then I'm going to get jammed up almost certainly by his unit. So I think I want to open up this flanking side on the right here. I'm going to move my frog up into the left just to force his leader up into the right. And we don't care about the bear cub so much, so we're just going to kind of slide in to the right here. And we're just going to leave this character blocking. So we're going to try to kind of pivot around this way. We'll see what our opponent does here. At this point, we're just using our rider to block. But we can go charging off in a direction if that's for some reason helpful to us. The claw guy can pull people in a straight line, either friends or enemies, or he can go to their unit. He's one of the most powerful units in the game, I think. So like he could in theory like pull the leader down here right now. Just a lot of flexibility, a lot of options with this unit, especially in this kind of middle space right here. But actually being like up against him sort of like minimizes what he can do. Fascinating. So he did pull his leader in. I wonder if he's going to charge the leader out over here. That would be a bad play on his part, I think. It's a little too aggressive, and he doesn't really have a good circumstance against me. But he maybe is just keeping the leader right here. Sure. So I can't quite surprise kill him, right? If I move my leader here. Yeah, I can't move my leader here because then you could just slide this, and that's that. I think we're just going to keep on trundling around the side here. That's fine for us. So we can always teleport to our leader. And we're going to move this frog in. And then the rest of this, I don't really care. I kind of want to keep my leader over here so I can swim around. If he moves this guy here, that's fine because it's not like he can really pincer me with this cub here. I guess if he moves this down and this down, I kind of am on the run a little bit. But I can always use this guy to make an extra move. I think we're just going to stay here and see what our opponent does. Sometimes we're just trying to like bait them into action, right? But it ends up being this like scrum situation, right? Where like you can't really get people to go where you want them to go. My opponent may have just punted the game because my leader can move here and the jailer stops adjacent enemies from using their powers, but he is not adjacent. So if my leader goes here, I can summon the Royal Guard here and charge him, and then I move the frog in, and that's game. So if my opponent, I set no undos to not prolong the game, so I think this is game over for them. I think they like I said, people always underestimate this Royal Guard. And 2 units next to our opponent means we win the game. Cool. I'll see you in the expert version in a moment. All right, and our opponent is a higher elo now. 250 is enough to definitely have played this game enough to know what they're doing. So you start off with a ban of the character. Our opponent's the first player. It's always the guy with the mustache. I think that the illusionist, which switches places with either your or an ally, non-adjacent unit in a straight line, is like the best unit in the game. There's so many shenanigans you can pull with this guy. So he's my auto ban pretty much every time. If I'm first, I'll try to take him. And you see that my opponent agrees that this claw guy is really good, but he's first pick, so he could have claimed him. And so he'll go first, and then I'll go second, and I'll double draft. Again, I don't know that double drafting is good in second position because you get to set up a nice like wombo combo of two guys that are maybe very good together. And so he takes my beloved Royal Guard. We're gonna move up here, and I'm gonna set up a cool 2-unit combo that I have noticed, which is the Manipulator, which can make enemies move in a line, and then also a unit that we haven't seen, the Nemesis, which you actually can't control. It doesn't move, except for when your opponent moves their leader, the Nemesis moves 2 spaces. But you can use the Manipulator to move their leader, which then will make the Nemesis move 2 spaces. So, right, the counterplay for Nemesis is just don't move your leader. But this guy then can kind of like get on them like glue. I don't know that the Nemesis is very good, but it is an awful lot of fun. Also, I didn't really think about the fact that the Royal Guard, of course, could just go and body block here. So my combo is immediately disrupted. Stupid me. This guy can fly to any non-adjacent space, so it's got a lot of mobility on the board. Not a huge fan of this, but I've seen it used against me relatively well. I want to make sure our opponent's got a lot of mobility already with these guys. I want to either make sure that I can defend, which I can do with the Vizier by just kind of running away from them. I think I don't want him to have an Archer, because an Archer has like a big area of control, right? So the Archer can actually kill a leader from up to 2 spaces away. And so if he puts an Archer in play and just trundles it forward, it's got a big zone of influence. And then he can use these units pretty aggressively to push into me. That being said, the Royal Guard actually isn't going to be as aggressive as the game that you just saw with me, because if he moves this, I'm going to immediately move the Nemesis. So the Royal Guard's mostly going to be a trundling piece for this game. All right. We're going to move this out of the way so that we can force this guy to just stumble backwards. And Bruiser is really good on defense. The Hermit and the Cub are really good on defense. We haven't seen the Assassin, who can, if he can touch the opponent's leader, then he can just kill it by himself, essentially. That's a really bad combo with the Nemesis. The Nemesis is meant to stick to the opponent like glue. Having one other mobile unit will help us get the leader. So like the Acrobat, the jumping guy that we had, is not ever a bad choice. Our opponent has no good counters to the Acrobat right now. Maybe we want the Acrobat. Let's try it. The other thing with the Acrobat here is that if he moves this Royal Guard back into the middle, I get to jump, and immediately stick on him. And having one guy on the enemy doesn't really do anything except for just generate pressure. Oh, fascinating. All right, well, let's get up in the mix. This doesn't really help us to do anything, but creates, again, a greater zone of control for us. Okay. So we just need to make sure that this Wanderer can't get at our king, which is no problem. We can do that by just jumping the frog right here. And then we're going to move, we're going to jump the frog right here. And that's it. And then we're going to move the Manipulator into the king's column. We're not going to move in here because these guys would then place like this. That's it for me. And now I want to choose some units. So he's got the Rider. The Rider's good at running fast. It's really bad at breaking through walls, though. I am tempted to take just like the clog the board thing, because I've got mobility, manipulation, this for defense, or this for defense. This guy pushing people into corners is not as exciting because he's got these 2 teleporting units. So yeah, we're just gonna clog this board like crazy. We're gonna put the Hermit, who can capture, on the left side here. Actually, I guess we also want the Cub over here. think I want them split. I think it's dangerous to put them together. Sometimes you can just get jammed up on your own units, and the two of them move at the same time. Like you have to move one and then move the other. Not the same time exactly, but you can't move a different unit and then move the other one. The hermit and the cub always move at the same time. So I like having them separated a little bit to give a bit of flexibility here. I'm not really sure how we're going to win this right now. Our opponent's doing a very good job of kind of making our nemesis not do as much. I mean, admittedly, the nemesis primarily is for preventing them from doing much with their leader. I'll be curious to see who they draft. We are out of drafts. Our board's full, but our opponent is not full. We might end up collapsing in this way. It sort of depends on who they take. I mean, I guess we actually can't come out left this way, so we have to collapse inward. But our manipulator can just shove this guy off in a different direction. So we're pretty safe. I think our opponent, because we have a lot of bodies blocking the way, is going to be happiest if they take the bruiser. So I guess what we're hoping for is that our opponent does not take the bruiser. The vizier is not terribly good for them because it makes their leader stronger, but that activates my nemesis every time. They don't need the protector. They've canceled the jailer, so they can't stop my frog. I think the vizier is a bad choice on their part, but we'll take it. All right, so we're going to move our queen here. We're going to move the royal guard up here. We need to be careful because this leader could certainly move royal guard attack. So we can't leave these spaces adjacent available. So we have to keep our frog on defense here. That's our turn. Yeah, I'm not loving our setup here. I think I was maybe getting too cute with this manipulator. I always find the manipulator hard to work, but I've wanted to make this manipulator nemesis combo work for me, but it is just so counterable in the way that we're seeing here of just like putting guys in the way and then the manipulator becomes very weak all of a sudden. Oh, we lose. Our opponent took vizier and I was talking smack about it, but if this guy just moves here and he moves this here. Oh no, not quite, because the nemesis we can use to block. But that's something we got to be scared of, essentially, because, okay, so actually the vizier is a really nasty combo with the royal guard. This is the first time I'm seeing this after my 300 elo of playing this game, because essentially the royal guard has like nearly infinite range. That's pretty cool. All right, I think we're going to keep on collapsing to the right. The farther away we are from this guy, I think the better off we are. And the cub needs to come up this way. And we still need this guy to body block here. And I think we're going to keep using the manipulator to push this guy farther away. And this can move in here. But nonetheless, when he moves this guy, I can still move my nemesis. I think I don't want his leader to go here. Because if he goes here, I can summon it like here, here. I have to like put the nemesis in the hole, which seems not great. Also, I'll prevent the rider from moving too. Not sure if that's a good call or not. That's what we're doing. This vizier unit is going to actually give us difficulty with the wanderer here because they can kind of pincer us on this side. So if the Vizier comes in this way, we're going to need to use the cub to generate a wall. But we're going to have a problem where we're going to be blocking in our own unit. So we're going to need to make like a vertical wall to block his guys. Okay, well, I guess that's not as a concern. Yeah, and I just don't have the mobility outside of the frog. I need that nemesis to get activated to do anything. Yeah, this will be the last time I do this nemesis manipulator combo. Every time I play the manipulator, this happens. I'm just like disappointed by what's going on. Smart move to move the Wanderer there for sure. But it means I can move my leader up, which is helpful for us. We're basically going to move our leader here and then generate a wall of Hermit Cub. And I think we're going to move the manipulator up here too. Having your back against the wall is not generally ideal. Yeah, sure. Okay, unnecessary teleport. So the nice thing about us having wheeled over to the right here is that our nemesis is naturally creating a shield wall that we want to create. So I imagine he's going to go kind of maybe slide around the sides or something. I think I still want to prevent him from going to this space. I want to be able to create a breakout that I can run up the middle here. I think if they don't make a mistake, they can't lose. I think if we don't make a mistake, we maybe can't lose. This runner can only really move here. So, I mean, if we move down into this corner, we're fine. But this guy pinning us against the corner here and sliding up this way really sucks, especially because of his ears over on top. Oh. Oh, I see. Now I'm forced to move the nemesis. Sure. I think that may be game. Our opponent keeps the Royal Guard here. Yeah, we just don't have a lot of flexibility. So currently, if I move my leader down, it's the only way I think. Like here is death because of these. Here is auto death. Here is death. Here is... Oh, it's not death if I move in and block. Okay, let's get aggressive. Oh, nope, that was a mistake. Because this guy can move here. This moves here. King, summon the Royal Guard. Whoops. I think we just lost. Ah, no, not necessarily. All right. Felt like moving down here was just going to be him pincering me even more. So I think I just needed to create some possible options that I can put some flex on him. He actually still can win if he moves his leader here and summons the guard in. So I don't know if he'll see that line. And we can't stop it with the nemesis. So I think we're toast anyway. Yeah, and so in general, I think being the aggressor is better. And this is the problem that I always have with the manipulator and the nemesis is that you're reliant on them. It just gives too much control away. So I should have chosen more mobile things myself. An earlier draft of Jailer might have been good. Well, this is a blessing in disguise. Our opponent missed the line. Where do we go that we can jump? We go here, because then in theory we can move our units here and jump. Well, we might win. If he doesn't move this knight, I mean, we've got the frog, but I think even still we've got it because we've got this here and then the frog double jumps. That's game. Our opponent tossed the victory away. Yeah, because they could have just run around this corner here. Our nemesis couldn't catch them. Summon, move in. This guy moves in. Full surround. Lucky us. I do feel like the stalemating in this game, this is like a maybe a negative. I mean, like I think it's been fun to learn, and I've gotten this over 2 days. This has been this has been the thing I've been up to, figuring out the different powers, the different combos, which ones you like and don't like, which you're seeing me in the middle of doing right now. I do think that there are states that like you literally should just handshake concede because you're just like literally waiting for someone to make a mistake. This game is maybe not the perfect example of that, but I did play a game that I think was legitimately 100% stalemate, and my opponent refused to call a draw. So I just kind of started doing crazy stuff to try to break a stalemate. And then, of course, he ended up winning because, you know, playing defensive is easy, but figuring out how to do defense and offense at the same time is quite difficult. All right. We'll move here with the manipulator. It doesn't matter. No. GG. All right, do you want to do a third? What is that? 27-minute video? No, we'll stop there. Hope you enjoyed.